Hello and welcome to the show. We are back here on BeamNG Drive at the Proving Grounds circuit with some more vehicles being driven till destruction, but we don't know, well, so we don't know what we're going to be driving. I know the base model, but we're going to use the Scramble mod that I used last time out. It was really good fun. We got some wacky stuff, so we're going to try it again and see what we can get with some other vehicles. They might be very strong. The Hopper has potential to get all sorts of parts on it that are good, but it could be a weird combination and really bad. So we're going to press the Scramble config button. The game will whir away. Oh, that's not a good combination. Of course, it does draw from the modded parts, and I have the Hopper Limo installed, so we've drawn a Hopper Limo with a massive drag racing wing. It looks like it's got lifted suspension at the back, low suspension at the front. Now, there is a potential, of course, that this won't move, which it does not, sadly. Sometimes drive lines don't get put in right, so we are going to scramble it again until we get a version that works. That's a Covert on a Hopper base with a ridiculous engine. Does it drive? It drives. This is our vehicle. It's like a Covert rock crawler with a twin-turbo V8 on it. Sure, let's see what happens. I mean, this, in theory, should be quite strong. I over-revved the engine. I was trying to get the nose to come up in that by blipping the throttle. So if you spin the wheels while it's in the air, you can get a little bit of in-air control. Now, it's not very much. It's not like GTA levels, but you can do something with the vehicles. However, that didn't work. We actually just over-revved the engine. The drive shaft is dangerously low by the looks of it. Oh no, it's just the angle made it look a lot worse. Ignore me. You can get some really weird combination. I love how it went from a limo to a Covert-bodied rock crawler. It's cool. It's definitely cool. The steering's got bent, which is a problem for this. If it's got bent already, what is it going to be like after a couple of laps? And we're trying to deal with the spinners. This is such a tall vehicle that the spinners are likely to destroy it in one hit. Not a guarantee, though. I've thought that about cars before, and they've got away with it. Oh god, try and get turned through here. The steering is really not happy. Just doesn't want to get to turn. It's pulling very badly to the right at the moment. I mean, like, suspension-wise, this should survive for ages. I can't see this suspension collapsing. Not around here. But it's the steering that's so iffy. Please, if we're going to have a crash across this big jump, can we bend the steering the other way? Nope. Oh, God. Pulls so badly to the right at the moment. I mean, there's not much I can do about that. Now, this is one of the downsides we do see, actually, with like the rock crawlers, the real serious off-road stuff that has crazy ground clearance, is the wheels actually become quite exposed. Much like an open-wheeled race car, for example. They can be quite susceptible to damage, even though the suspension is very strong. The sort of twisting, especially if the vehicle rolls or takes off from a jump a little wonky, a lot of force can be applied directly onto a wheel and can bend it and cause it all sorts of grief. I mean, with the random configuration of parts as well, there are other potential fears. Wrong radiators being installed so a car vehicle just naturally overheats. That's a possible. But, yeah, I don't think we've got that going on here. That's probably the least of our concerns with the amount of steering issues we've got. We potentially... Oh, dear. Get away from the start-finish gate. That's fine. We made it. There's a lot of angles going on with the front of my car at the moment. The steering, the wheels kind of aren't turning properly. They're almost like cambering as they turn, which means we get no contact patch with the road. So this is going to... The steering's bad, basically. Let's just put it like that. The steering doesn't really steer the car here. It's a vague suggestion, but it's still a vague enough. It's a vague suggestion, but it's good enough suggestion to make it around the course. For the moment, this is the case. It's likely to get worse as time goes on. Yeah, you see here, for example, the wheel just folds over on itself, so it doesn't actually give any grip for turning. So we really want to not turn the vehicle all that much through these corners. I just want to keep it down a little bit, because it's a very loud engine, this one. So we have to kind of be very, very delicate with the steering in this. There's kind of a point at which more steering lock actually gives us a lot less steering because the wheel's folded over on itself. Into here is the real concern. Jeez, it just doesn't turn. We have got it going. No, we get it through, we get it out the other side, all is good for the covert crawler. I mean, it's the base of this is a hopper, but I mean, it's barely recognisable as anything you would see in Beam, so that's why I love the scrambled configs. You just don't know what you're going to get. There goes a bit of body work, that's fine. Has that actually straightened up my steering? A little bit, I think. That hit, so it's just bent whatever in the steering rack's twisted, it just bent it back. It actually has bent the steering back much better. Okay, good news, it doesn't really turn. The vehicle itself struggled in these corners. I say that, it's going relatively quickly, it can go relatively quickly, it's got a powerful engine, it's got off-road tyres, so it actually does have traction out here unlike a lot of vehicles, so it can go fairly fast through places like this. The temperature is now starting to be a little bit of a concern to me here. That is creeping up, and this is without a radiator being blown in the vehicle, so it might not have a performance radiator to go with the performance engine. I think it's a twin turbo. Maybe it might not be. I'm trying to look to see. Now the radiator has gone out. The overheating is going to be a problem. We'll have a look at the end. Oh, we've lost steering completely. That hit on the landing. Oh, the whole front end came apart. That's why. It doesn't steer anymore. It actually just twists the car from side to side. When we've lost all of our drive, there's no drive left in it anyway, regardless of the fact the steering is gone. But it hit the landing of that jump, and I was trying to steer away from the gate, and there was nothing because the steering doesn't turn the wheels properly. It just tips them from side to side. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's a steering failure. It's a steering failure and drive shaft failure all at once, although it was a steering failure that led to the drive shaft failure. Does that thing have twin turbos up there? Or is that just air filters? Difficult to see. I don't got turbos, so there's no boost. It's just where the air filters sit. Never mind, there's no boost gauge. Ignore me completely, I'm an idiot. But yeah, the random scrambled hopper that doesn't really resemble much of a hopper has died. It did okay. Did okay, but the steering was just not up to the task. Up next, we have got a Legrand that apparently the texture's not loaded in properly, so I don't know what's going to happen when we scramble this one up. It should be quite funny. That's the hope, at least. We shall see. The Legrand has not been great for survivability, not been the worst vehicle around here, but oh, good God, what have we created here? There are some mod parts involved in this. Jeez, this is something spectacular. It's a Pumobile! That much is for sure. There's no rims on the front? No, there doesn't seem to be any rims properly. There are tyres. I don't know if this is actually going to move. I have very, very big doubts that's moving. Yeah, okay. It was likely that was going to break. It was glorious. Let's go and scramble it up again. Let's see if we can get something that does actually drive. Oh, okay, it's also missing some form of drive. There's some weird, we've got no tyres on the front as well. That would have been a difficult one to drive. Come on, we'll scramble you up again, see what we've got. Okay, do you actually move? No, apparently the Legrand, typical, I tested this and the Legrands were turning out fine, but now we're testing it and we're getting ones with just nothing that wants to behave itself. A strange combination of parts went on there. Oh, even stranger on this one, it does move. Okay, this is going to be our configuration of broken glitchiness. Wonderful stuff. Oh, look at this, we've got a wide body fender on one side, we've got pink wheels. This is a glorious machine. The tow bar doesn't work properly. We are front wheel drive, I think. Sure. It's an absolute mess. Oh, the suspension is shockingly bad for this. I don't know what suspension it's on, but it's not on happy suspension, I can tell you that much. This suspension is not going to enjoy the course. It's got some travel at the rear, but it doesn't seem normal or happy to be doing what we're asking it. The front seems very low, very sporty suspension on the front. I don't know what's gone on with the textures. It's all very broken. We'll plough our way through the water. Yeah. Across the checkerboard is a nerve-wracking moment, but we are over that without too many problems. And that's good news. I'm worried about this suspension. It's really doing strange things to the vehicle. Oh, it doesn't drive very nicely. Clonk. More clonking across here, but it's fine. We've knocked off a front bumper. That's the least of my concerns. Our wide body fender is still on the car, though. That's the bit that matters. We want to try and get... It's the one bit with a texture that kind of works. God, it's like the back end of the car is almost lifting up as I'm trying to take these corners. Oh, that's alarming. It's very weirdly set up. I mean, this is the joy of the scramble. You don't know what you're going to get. And this is now behaving very strange. It's... No, what was that? It's not going to enjoy this jump. Something broke, I think. In the suspension? No, it just acted very weird all of a sudden. Oh, clonk back down. The engine's actually not terrible in this. It's got a decent bit of go to it, which I like. You know, we're quick enough. I prefer not having turbos on a vehicle because that's another thing that can break, and when the induction system breaks, if we lose a turbo, you're really in trouble. So at least this is a half-decent powered, naturally aspirated car that I feel something's going to go on with the back end. I feel like we're going to do something weird and the back axle is going to fall out or misbehave, or I don't know. I don't know what can break on it, but something is not going to be happy. We're not the worst, you know, vehicle around here. That's the bit that matters. We could probably coast and make a lap if we break a drive shaft now, so let's not put that to the test. The radiator's gone. Okay, maybe not a surprise. It's clogging the floor quite a lot. It's a low vehicle with incredibly stiff suspension by the looks. Certainly it's not compliant over these bumps. It does some weird things when turning occasionally. Almost feels like something's getting caught, but I don't know what would be. Like, I think it's really good. The tow bar's flapping, but that's just clipping through. That's not what's causing some of the really weird driving things that are going on with this. We are through the bumps, however. Okay, will you cool down through the water? Yes, that's good news for the car. So, in fact, it's got all the temperature out. Oh, there goes the exhaust. Well, it looks like... Oh, okay, the exhaust is causing some grief now. It looks like a plastic toy exhaust, but it has fallen off of the car. Of course, when I scramble something, we get some really, really broken stuff. I swear the Legrand was working earlier when I tested the scramble mod quickly with vehicles just to make sure that it does work and everything. And I wasn't getting this from the Legrand, so that's a... That's the... I mean, I can test the scramble thing. We're always going to get different configs, so you never know what you're going to end up with. This is particularly odd, but never mind. We are out of the carousel. I would quite like the exhaust to fall off, because I'm not sure what that's going to do next time we go across the checkerboard or the speed bumps or anything along those lines. This is actually quite a good showing for the Legrand. Oh, it's clonked out the rear window a bit. The boot's popped open. I mean, it's actually not a bad showing. The Legrand has not been a traditionally very strong car for this. So, while this is a weird combination of stuff that we have going on, it's kind of working. I kind of gutted the original thing that we configured didn't work, because that was glorious in terms of the visuals. This is just so far so good. With the radiator gone, yes, we can cool the car at the shallow grave, but generally speaking, over time, the cooling is not going to outdo the car getting overheated. That being said, though, this is actually not doing too badly on the odd temperature. It's starting to rise again, yeah, but it may only be a small leak on the radiator. Oh, that sort of hit won't do the car any good. We're pushing the front up a bit. The wide body fender is still on. The steering's now slightly twisted. Car wants to go to the right. Oh, well, if you want to land on that side and twist the steering the other way, I'm okay with that. The sparks, that's all just coming off the exhaust. Nothing to worry about there at the moment, of course. Potential, I guess. Little concern what's going to happen as we go across the checkerboard. Into the water we head. Oh, God. That time we did not get cooled down anywhere near enough for the vehicle. Okay, the checkerboard hasn't done anything silly. Now the exhaust looks like a part from that Mousetrap board game, if I'm honest. That does belong in there. Surprised it's still clinging on to life. Oh, no, the water did some cooling. Clonk and clonk. I don't really want to run over our debris. Sometimes stuff can get crash welded into wheels and arches and just generally cause damage that is unnecessary to a vehicle, so we don't want that. if we can avoid it. As I said, and that's part of the reason why I want the exhaust to actually ping out of the car. I don't want it getting caught on something and causing a silly crash, because it's kind of just stuck there and half crash welded, half wedged in the back end of the car. We've still got some good pace. We're up to 60 odd miles an hour for the jump. It's a big clonk on the ground, but the Legrand continues onwards here. And the temperature, it didn't really go down when we dove into the water, but it's kind of stayed at a nice low level for the rest of the lap. We get bounced around up into the air. If it continues like that, overheating doesn't seem to be a big problem with this. I wonder what engine it is running in this. There's all sorts of engines going on. I guess it's potentials for this. Whatever it is seems pretty good. We will clonk our way across here. And again, whatever weird handling is afflicting it, it's still a bit strange. We're pulling to the right again. It had kind of fixed itself at one point. But yeah, the weird handling seems to have sorted itself out on the most part. So either whatever was bent has been pushed back, or something was stuck under, like debris was somewhere. Oh, that's not fun. That's a bad landing over there. We get the car back under control. Oh, okay, now we are starting to struggle to turn left. It's the front right wheel is the concern. It's pulling us quite badly around. But we crash down for another lap. It means the best of the scrambled cars. I was not expecting... Oh, piston rings damaged. Engine's in trouble. The temperature might have stayed low, but we are still damaging the engine in here. That is a concern. Can't do much about it. Oh, dive it into the water. I mean, the rules for the series cars have to be driven as hard as they can, and that means when they start overheating, it is generally going to do some damage to the engines when we're trying to still get the car around the lap as quick as possible. Whatever's gone on with the steering kind of... I feel like it gets bent and then it gets pushed back, so it kind of every so often it gets really bad and then something happens that then mostly fixes it, so we don't really worry too much about it. Here we go into the spinners. Oh, now we definitely do have more problems after that Toblerone section. Oh, maybe not. It always feels like it's very slow to respond to a change of direction now, which is odd. It just takes it like a couple of seconds to figure out, oh, I'm supposed to actually be changing to the other way, but once it does figure that out, it has an okay amount of steering. I don't know what would cause that, but that's what it feels like from the driving point of view. Over the big jump we go. It's a big crunch on the landing, but still the car soldiers on. The engine's definitely down on power, but it's not that bad. It's not horrifically far down on power. So, yeah, we should be good to keep going for now. Oh, stop steering left for a moment. If it does that going into the spinners, we could be in trouble. Any momentary loss of steering is a potential, killer going into that spinner section. You've got to be very precise. When your car's not so healthy, it's much more difficult to be that level of precise. Over some more of the jumps we go. This Legrand is holding on very, very well. I am surprised here. I'm very surprised, actually, that this is as happy. Whatever was going on with the rear seems to have calmed itself down. I know the rear kind of axle, the rear suspension on this car is very difficult to fully break. If it does, it tends to be spectacular, but it's very difficult to fully kill it. Although we're having trouble off these jumps now. It really is pulling the car around. Oh, it's really weird handling. I'm not even sure how best to describe the way this car is making these corners. It's super unresponsive for a while, and then suddenly, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be turning, and there's suddenly grip there. So I'm not sure what's causing that. There's something very, very wrong with the steering here. Into the water we go. We're through there, cool the car a little bit. We lose some momentum coming out the other side, which isn't going to help the poorly engine. But nevertheless, we soldier on. We're up to the 7-mile mark already, which is a pretty good going. Now, Toblerones felt like they gave us some grief last time around. Get turned in. There we go. There seems to be some random oversteer going on well from this every so often. We'll clatter our way across there. For a second I thought I saw that front right wheel flailing around as if it had been disconnected. I hadn't. It's all good. into the spin as we go. It found some turning that time. Actually carried pretty good speed through that section. Come on, car. It shakes a lot across there. It's very, very peculiar, this one. As I said, you know, that's the point of this. Weird things are happening, and I'm not 100% sure what all of them are. The speed is definitely not what it once was in the car, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I was turning in for that, nothing happened, suddenly starts turning in, the sudden oversteer. Is it like a very slow responding? Is it the front right takes a while to kind of... I feel like the front right wheel is the most unhappy wheel, so maybe that's just taking a time to find some sort of grip. When it does find grip, the car turns pretty well, but it's unreliable at finding that grip initially. It's almost got to like turn in way earlier for a corner. Although then when you do that, if it suddenly does find grip immediately, then you're in trouble in a different way. So I don't know. I don't know the best way to drive it. I mean, it's still going at the end of the day. That's the bit that matters here. That Legrand, of many brokenness, is still running. And it feels like the crescendo jump, the one that's coming up here, is the biggest problem for the car. Just it bounces randomly on the landing and might end up in the entry gate. The engine's going to be getting unhappy with this. It definitely can't keep taking this level of punishment. I wouldn't have thought. Oh, third gear doesn't really work for us around here. It's just no real power. I mean, it's still going. Just don't really get much in the way of power. Oh, come on, car. Like that corner! Okay, problems have occurred. Quite big problems have occurred. We've lost a wheel. It's fine. It wasn't an important one, apparently. That's going to make our handling issues worse. In fact, it's not only taken off the wheel, it's twisted the whole rear axle. Well, we know it's front wheel drive now. Oh, foot down, try and save it. Yeah, so as the handling issues get worse, well, it's almost the erratic handling gets worse. The whole rear axle is at danger of really scuppering us here. Can I get this still through? The spinners, we do. Fantastic stuff. We only really need the front wheels. We can drag the back of the car around. That's fine. It's got a diff that's allowing it to put power down if one of the front wheels is wiggling around in the air. That's fantastic news, because that's often what kills these cars. It is going to, unfortunately, I suspect, twist a lot on these jumps like that. Oh, don't hit that front corner too many more times. That is what is going to kill it now, I think. If we have too many more of them, because every jump we're going to land on that front corner that's already quite unhealthy. I mean, by the looks of it, the car could live as a one-wheel drive. It's what the steering would do. And if it loses all the wheels on one side of the car, it's really not going to be enjoying life there. So let's try and not do such a thing. But the car is always going to tip, I fear, across these big jumps. That kind of... The Dover jump isn't the worst thing in the world. It's still got an okay amount of speed as well. That's one of the more impressive things about this, is that it's still going quicker than some cars have with four wheels and engine damage. So, you know, some respect where it is due. This is a tough, tough car. It's going to continue to clonk its way along up towards the crescendo jump now. I was worried about this jump before. Is it going to prove my fears correct? I don't really have much control over the car. We land it, still good. Still got steering. Now, the speed bumps are going to be painful. That rear corner is going to catch on everything. Oh, we're going to go for a roll, but that's fine. Still lives. How on earth it still lives, I don't know. The wide body fender is now not really wide anymore. It's been crushed inwards, so it just looks like a normal fender at this point. Okay, where are we going to have trouble here? I mean, the big jump feels like... Oh, shafted, it feels like the most concerning location. It gets the most speed. That's going to be the biggest impact for the front of the car. The speed bumps and the checkerboard have not done as much to the wheelless vehicle as I thought they would. It just kind of bounces its way over. Oh, I say that. That's quite bad. It bounced its way over first time a lot better. Oh, the doors come off. I think things have got worse. Oh, we've driven over our door. Things have got worse. Okay, so the rear axle has now been twisted, so we are just full crab at this point. Oh, foot down, try and save it. There we go. How is this car driving? The feat of perseverance for the Legrand is ridiculous, but the spinners are a real problem here. Get your car through there, we're out the other side. So surely this rear axle is only going to get worse as it's going to get more and more twisted. And while it's not being driven, it's pushing the car in an awkward way. We're having to essentially crab the car along. I can't think many vehicles that would be able to survive like this. The condition this Legrand is in and the fact that it's still driving. The fact that it's doing 50 miles an hour up towards the big jump is impressive. I'm so worried about that front wheel. It still lives. The car does still live, but oh, there are big concerns now for my steering. I don't know if we have got enough steering to the right anymore. Oh no, we've got nothing. I can't steer it out of there. I tried to handbrake it. Well, I technically... Okay, I did put it into reverse. I technically haven't had to use reverse. We used the hill to turn the car. We do allow that one to happen. But I do think this is now spelling the end for the Legrand. That hit has stopped one of my front wheels from turning to the right. It can just about do something, but I think it's going to run out of steering soon. There's going to come. Certainly, it's going to die in the spinners if we could somehow make it. Thankfully, most of the corners on this stage are left-handed. Can we still get it around here at very low speeds? We can. So I see the issue. Because of the wheel we're missing, the front wheel that is steering keeps going in the air, so I can't actually accelerate through the corner because the one wheel that has steering isn't actually touching the ground. Or it has steering, the majority of the steering to the right-hand side. We figured it out. We have got the car. Yeah, it's still driving. Still drivable at this stage. Oh, though. That's... Well, okay, we bounced it. It spun from a spin rather than from a lack of steering. So I feel like this has got enough steering that a spin and nose into the wall is not a count-out, essentially. Yes, it's difficult to drive, but it definitely can still turn to the right-hand side. What's going to happen over crescendo, I don't know. Where it's going to land. Oh, how it's going to land. Landed very heavily on that front corner. That front wheel is not in a good way. It is not in a good shape anymore. My whole chassis is buckled at this point. Oh, this isn't good. Come on, I need that... I need that front wheel to touch the ground. Now we are very close to going out from steering. Damage. We're going to just about inch our way along to the next section. We clear the 20 miles an hour. How this engine hasn't exploded, I don't know. Oh, it's got over the speed bumps. Come on, car. Oh, it's lost. The front right half shaft is gone. This might be the death of it. The wheel that I need to touch the ground is the one that is barely able to. Come on. Get that wheel on the ground. It has, again, it can just about drag itself to 20 miles an hour, but it can't really do it very well here. Oh, I think it's going to die going up the hill. It may get counted out any second if I can't get some of this power down. Come on, vehicle, you can do this. I really want it to... Oh, I really wanted to get to the spinners because I feel like there's is almost life in it. Come on! I think we're gonna die in the. I think we're gonna die trying to get out of the water here. Come on! Oh No, that's dead. that's gonna die in the water. In fact, actually, I think a bit of the frame has bent down. That has actually beached itself on its frame. That the frame has got buckled down and impaled itself on the rocks. That was a hell of a run. That was a hell of an effort from the Legrand. I will give it that much. With 3 wheels, it kept going. It was a complete wreckmobile by the end of it. I mean, as you can see with the state of it, what is that? Is that the subframe, I think? I'm not allowed to continue onwards if I bend the subframe up. But, yeah, I think it actually bent the whole frame of the car down to the point where that was dragging on the floor. That is one hell of a run from the scrambled vehicle, a really impressive distance for a vehicle comprised of random bits. Now I am genuinely curious, so we've got Aero Coupe body going on, you know, that we did have ABS, we had some of the body kits and so on. The engine, 3.3 litre V6, pretty much nothing special, had a 6-speed gearbox in it, but that's not a particularly spectacular engine, everything is stock, it just kept going. It kept going, and for a front-wheel drive, that's pretty damn good going. Had a welded front diff, which is very helpful. That's why it did keep going as well as it did when things were iffy. But there you go. That's the the death of the randomised Legrand. A very, very impressive feat, I must say. So, we are on to the leaderboard, and it is an 8th place for the Legrand. Yes, one of the scrambled cars has gone into the top 10. It is mighty, mighty impressive. There's a lot of weirdness with the suspension going on there. It wasn't happy driving for a lot of that. It lost a wheel, but kept going for quite some time. Yeah, I never expected a scrambled car to do that well, I've got to say. So... well done, especially a front-wheel drive as well. Well done to the Legrand indeed. We have to go a fair bit further down to find the hopper that actually didn't do too badly. It goes into a 76th place. Yeah, the steering on that was not quite strong enough. It took one big hit and snapped everything. Really on that. Kind of surprised because that had got some big, that was like a full rock crawling suspension, but the combination of everything was not going to work on the hopper, but it could have been a lot worse in terms of distance, that much is for sure. Well, there we go. That is going to be it for this video. I shall link all the mods used in the description if you want to download them and have a go with them yourself. This Scramble mod is really good fun. I highly, highly recommend it. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.